Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Miss Sayé show. In honor of the Black History Month, we are bringing Blake Leeper, who's a history maker, on the show. Welcome to the show, Blake.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be on your show to be able to tell my story. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. We are excited to have you. You are 8 times medalist,
Yes,
Paralympic
yes,
track and field. That's incredible accomplishment on
yeah.
its own.
It's crazy to think to have 8 international medals. I do, yeah.
And world record holder.
Yes, I have two world records. It's crazy. 8 international medals, 2 Paralympic medals, 2 world records, in hopes of qualifying for the Olympic Games this year in 2021. And it's kind of crazy to think like I have all these, and I was born missing both of my legs. Like the day that I was born, doctor said I would never walk a day in my life.
That is incredible. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you, because our audience maybe don't know, but um, Blake you have been born with no legs,
Yes,
below the knee. And usually they say, find what you have strongest and work with it.
yes, yes.
You went the other way.
The complete opposite way. I mean, you have to think, you know, I take it back to the day that I was born, August 31st, 1989. I was born with fibular hemorrhagia. So the doctors came in, took me to ICU, and had a conversation with my mother and father. And it was just, Mr. and Mrs. Leeper, I'm sorry, but your son, he's never going to walk. He's never going to be able to run, jump, and play. He's probably going to be bound in a wheelchair his whole life. But, I asked my parents, like, in that moment, like, what'd you say? Like, what'd you do? And then, they gave me the same two answers over and over again, even to this day. They said the first thing that we did, we decided to stick together as a family, as a unit, through the good and the bad and the ugly. We're going to be in your corner fighting for you. And I think that's really important when when you're on a path and you're facing adversity and you're trying to succeed, to really surround yourself with people that really love you and really support you. And the second thing they told me that they did was to decide to keep a positive attitude towards the whole situation, especially in a situation where they could be extremely negative, having a son being born missing both of his legs. But they said it was extremely important for them to make a decision right then and there, through the highs and through the lows, that they're going to try to keep a positive attitude towards my situation and for their life and my life as well.
What an amazing support system you have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That,
yeah.
that, that's a blessing.
It's such a blessing. My mom always told me every morning, said, Blake, yes, you have two disabilities, and you cannot negate that or miss that. We have to identify it, but you have 1,000 other abilities that make you a special person. And that's what I kind of keep on the forefront of my mind as I'm on the journey to make the Olympic Games.
Beautiful. I love how your mom went about it, recognizing where you are and what it is, so we can work from here instead of trying to navigate around it. This is what it is. Let's see where we can go. So please tell us, I'm excited to hear, how did you decide, okay, I'm going to become a runner? And I saw a video of you racing a horse. I play polo and I know those animals, and you were racing a horse.
Yes,
Do
yes,
tell.
yes. Any opportunity that I get to race, even if it's other athletes, if it's a horse, a dog, whatever. Anytime I get a chance to line it up and race, I take advantage of it, because I've only started running. I'm 31 now, but I started running about when I was 19, almost 12 years ago. But I got into it late. Being born without legs and only having certain prosthetic legs, insurance only covering certain legs, that it was a luxury to be able to get the prosthetic legs I'm using now. It wasn't considered a necessity. So it wasn't until I was about 18, 19 years old, going into college, I seen other Paralympians on TV and watching them race and run. It was in the bird's nest in 2008, and in front of 90,000 people. And it was disabled men and women competing and running and being celebrated. And it really just sparked an interest in me, going through my disability my whole life. Like, wow, there's something out there for me. I never ran a day in my life. I never even know really what Paralympic track and field was, but it was and I'm sure people can relate, when you get this feeling deep down inside of you that's just like gets it's a tingling feeling, like you're meant to do something and you're meant to be that.
Mm,
And I just had this feeling inside of my body that I was meant to run. And as I started competing and I eventually got the running legs, I started winning some races, and then that's when I got the attention from Paralympic Committee and the Olympic Committee saying, "Wow, this guy might have an opportunity to do something special."
That is incredible. So you said that the type of legs that you have, the legs,
The
they
running
are
blade, yeah,
running blades, blade
yeah,
runner. I love it.
yeah.
So those were not considered necessity. That was a
Nope.
luxury. So how did you come up? How were you able to get your luxury legs?
Yeah, to get the luxury legs to be able to run and
Right.
compete, I actually reached out to some nonprofits throughout the nation. And for any disabled individuals that's listening and want to get out there and want to try a different sport and they need the luxury equipment to be able to try, there's different nonprofits out in the United States that provide that equipment. If you just write into a grant, the one I worked with at the time was Challenge Athletes Foundation. There's another one called Wiggle Your Toes, Step Ahead. There's all kinds of, if you do your research,
Wonderful.
you can find these companies and these nonprofits that you share your story and just be authentic and be natural. Just, you don't have to be a Paralympian or a world record holder like myself. You might just want to go out there and just run with your kids, or go out there and just run with your brother or sister, or just go out there to gym class or have fun playing kickball. Like, that's a necessity. And it's unfortunate that, being a disabled man or a disabled athlete and to be able to go run, jump, and play is considered a luxury to the insurance companies. But that's what I feel like it's part of my mission is to be a voice for those individuals who have struggled with insurance companies, to be a voice for the young disabled athletes, to show them what
Right.
could be possible if you put your mind to it and work
Right.
really, really hard.
Right. You find a way. You found your way.
Exactly.
And now
Exactly.
that you're successful, now that you are world record holder, do you still stay in touch with those nonprofit? Do you give back? Do you what is your goal and intention?
Absolutely. And I think that's a must. When you're on your journey and you're trying to succeed and try to hit your goals, it's important to kind of take a moment and say, what, for me, I say, it's not about you today, Blake. You know what I mean? Like, the interviews and we're having conversations, when you're breaking world records and getting more medals, yes, that is your time. But I need to spend some time giving back,
Love
because
it.
there was people and individuals and organizations who gave back to me.
Sure.
And I tell people that's one of the most great, like, being on TV and doing all these amazing things is fun. But when you can give your time and yourself to an individual or a purpose or a moment, and that person walks away with their life changed for forever, and they identify and say, wow, the time, it could be, they don't have to be money. It could just be your
Sure.
time and your talents, and
Sure.
just spending that time. It's extremely important to pass that torch along. And that's really honestly one of the greatest feelings in the world, knowing that you can have an impact on the universe and an impact on other individuals by and it's not me showing up and saying, hey, my life is great, everything's great, your life can be great too. It's me showing up and say, look, I've dealt with pain and trials and tribulations and
Right.
being authentic with the struggles that I've experienced throughout my life, and then say, look, I made it too. So if I can make it through and make it too, so can you.
Speaking of which, you build up to be where you are on your own with your effort, with your drive. I'm sure you have faced some downtime. There has been time that, probably you feel like your world is crashing down.
Yes.
Talk to me about that. How did you go through that? How did you came out of the other side? I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I think back in my time in my life and in my career, and I explain to people, like, yes, I'm happy right now. I'm going, a lot of amazing things are going great in my life, but I've had my lows. You know what I mean? I've had my struggles. I think back in 2015, when I was still competing and I still training, but I was struggling internally and with my personal life and making a lot of bad personal decisions, and really started resenting track and field, started resenting my life. When I was out there partying, and then I ended up going to a track meet and tested positive for cocaine, and it was a street drug that that I ended up having me suspended for almost 2 years. I lost sponsorship. I lost. It's crazy. One of my sponsors was my running leg sponsor. Was my leg sponsor. And they pulled from me, so I lost my legs through that process from my mistakes off the track. And I can remember like that was my rock bottom. That was probably one of the lowest points in my life, but it was a beautiful experience going through that because it saved my life first and foremost. And I tell people that that process that I went through from making a mistake, being suspended, losing certain races and losing, endorsements and money, that to get myself back up, to get myself
Yes.
back on the right track.
Yes.
Those characteristics and the things that I learned and the tools that I learned being born without legs, right?
Right.
That light, you got to work hard each and every day. You got to be patient. It takes consistency. You got to step by step, day by day. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. Like those things that I've learned through my hardship prior in my life prepared me, right? Prepared me to get prepared to go through the process of when I made a mistake through my life as an adult. So then I look at that moment and say, wow, at one point I was like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Hometown hero. I made a
Sure.
mistake. I
Sure.
embarrassed my family, my
Sure.
friends. Oh, it was such a humbling experience. But now I look at that and it said it's probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. It gave
Incredible.
me an opportunity to look at myself in the mirror, to finally do some self-inventory. Because even though I was smiling on camera and doing all these amazing things on TV, I wasn't happy internally. And I really didn't love myself internally. And so until I started doing my self-inventory and do my reading and my writing and really working on myself internally, that's when I started really building that foundation to be on the path that I'm on now and to be able to go to somewhere or something, to be in mind, to be fully there and to be so present and to give 120% in everything that I do. And I credit to that. And I'm a true believer that your adversity is your advantage. Like I believe the fact that I was born without legs, that was my advantage. The fact that I failed back in 2015 and made a mistake and
Mm-hmm.
it caused me, I turned that around and made that at my advantage.
Yeah.
So whatever struggles and trials and tribulations that people are facing, I tell them to lean into it and to embrace it because it's going to make you a stronger person at the end.
I hear you. You're good at that. You're good. You're good
Yeah.
at making your struggles your winning points. I've
Yes.
heard many times an obstacle is the way, and just you sitting here with us and talking about it, that means you have overcome. That means you have gained strength from that.
Yes.
That time has passed, but there was a time that you weren't probably speaking like this, and you were in your lower, and you were doubting, is this ever going to pass? Am I ever going to be able to make a comeback? And that
Wow.
those time is like tough.
Right.
And it seems like you have overcome, and now you are here. Did you ever dream of being able to work with companies such as, correct me if I'm wrong, Nike?
Yes. Yes.
Tell me about that. That's awesome.
No, not at all. Like honestly, growing up as a kid, a lot of other people's insecurities and doubts of, oh, you're born without
Right.
legs. So we can't even see you past even walking, running, let alone being a professional athlete
Sure.
and competing. But it's crazy that I can remember when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I
Mhm.
would have these visions and these dreams of like being in the stadium,
Mhm.
being in a
Incredible.
crowd of people, and they
Sure.
were cheering for me, but I didn't know what sport I was running. I didn't know what event it was. I just felt the energy and felt the people
Amazing.
chanting my name and cheering for me. But as quick as those visions and feelings came to me, even at a young age, they left me because I was going off of what other people's and
Right.
insecurities and doubts and thoughts of. Oh, I'm born without legs. There's nothing for me. I'm an amputee. I'll never be able to make it to the NBA or NFL or MLB or be in front of
Mhm.
thousands of people. And fast forward, I'll never forget in 2012 when I competed in my first Paralympic
Mm.
Games. Right before the 200-meter race, there was other runners. There was one Paralympic runner that crossed over and went to the Olympics. It was a sold out stadium that night, and it was 80. And I never forget, right before they called my name and they called the guy in front of me, all 85,000 people
Ooh.
stood up in that London
Wow.
Olympic Stadium and cheered me on. That was that moment
Right.
that
That
I
we're
felt even
dreaming
as a
about.
kid. Yeah, that I was dreaming
Incredible.
about even as a kid. And you have to be, And I tell people those dreams and thoughts and visions and crazy things that you have in your mind, that's your body and the universe and God speaking to you. Even though it's crazy, even though it's crazy as it sounds, that's a reality.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about visualization. So I understand what you're saying, visualization. And the most important thing, not that you were visualizing, you were feeling. So what,
Yes.
when you feel it, that's how it feels when 80,000 people are screaming my name. This is how it would feel like. This is what it would look like. I think you're giving it energy and power to manifest it in your work, in your work.
Yes.
So I am very much in tune with that. And I have done that. And I have my vision board that,
Mm-hmm.
from 10 years ago that I'm like, I have all these now. Time for a new vision board. And I had very close people to me that say, you want that? Why don't you go put it on your vision board?
Right.
They,
Like,
they,
if it's
they,
that easy,
yeah,
just
if it's
snap
that
your
easy,
finger.
go cut it out and put it on there. Good luck. But I have it. So, did you ever have a vision board? I know you had it in your head, but did you ever cut things out? Did you ever put it somewhere that you can look at it daily to give it energy?
Yes, absolutely. I'm a true believer of power manifestation. I feel like we
Sure.
create our own reality, and
Absolutely.
and even look at my life and look at my situation, being born without legs. Everybody else's reality was for me to be in a wheelchair, to me to be at home collecting disability, to not be able to live a fulfilled life. I was born without legs. We don't can't figure out how you can even get past that.
Sure.
But in my head, I believed I could walk.
What is your go-to? What is your favorite affirmation that you repeat to yourself?
Oh man, my favorite affirmation that I repeat to myself is,
Yes.
Blake, you're gonna be okay today. Blake, you're giving it, and I want to get to a place where Blake did, and I asked myself, did you give 120%? Did you give it your all? And when I go specifically when I go to practice, like I just had a practice session this morning, and on the track we was doing 6 150s, and I was on the third 150. Yes, I was tired. I was exhausted. And I really, physically, I really couldn't go no more, but I had to mentally lock it in and say, okay, one more. Then after the one more, we have,
Yes.
another one. So we two more, and pushing my body and my limits in the moment, pushing my body in the limits in the moment. And then I asked myself, did you give it your all? And
Mhm.
if I can walk away, said, did I give it? Did you quit? No, I didn't quit. And even specifically for me, like I tell myself, I'm the fastest man in the world. You're the fastest man in the world. You're gonna, you know what I mean? I have a friend that we text each other every morning. He's in the NFL, and I'm training for the Olympics. And he texts me, I want to be the defensive player of the year every morning. And I text him, I want to make the Olympic Games. And I'm going to run 43 seconds in the 400 to be the fastest man in the world.
That's
And
great.
and
That's great that
those
you have
things,
someone to support your dream with you, verbally, visualize with you. I mean, I know you had to weed out through those people who laughed at you.
right,
They existed too and tested your. Are you really ambitious about this? Do you
right.
really want it? So you were like, yeah, I am, because those people laughed and they were weeded out. And now you have a friend that you text in the morning that tells you, yes, I got you, and I'm with you in your vision. And you're like, and I'm with you in your vision, and I give it
Yes.
energy and power. And that's beautiful. Tell me about, as a Black athlete collaborating with Nike. How does that feel? Uh, what are the good? What are the not so good stuff? I want to hear everything about that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been a really good and powerful experience. First, as a disabled athlete, to have the opportunity to be, sponsored by Nike was a blessing. I never even thought, being born without legs, that I would have, my picture is up on the campus right
Woo!
beside Blake Griffin, and it's just amazing. There's a photo I'm just looking up at it. And it's just truly it's just crazy. And then as
Beautiful.
a Black athlete, seeing them, being on the forefront, especially supporting Kaepernick and his messaging and what he stood for, what we all stand for. And for Nike, they lost a lot of, tides and custom ties with some people by making that stance. And then that says a lot for me, a company that I want to work for, that's willing to say, we don't care the money that we're going to lose. We don't care the fans that will lose. We care about what we
Oh,
stand
good.
for. And what we stand for is Black Lives Matter. First and foremost, police brutality is out of hand. second and foremost. Like all these things that as a black man in America that I have faced, you know, I mean, now we're talking about it now, but these things that I've been, you know, we've been going through for years and years and years and years and years and years. We're just now talking about it now, and having the voice to talk about it, and for Nike to give us that platform and that voice to be able to share our thoughts and our process through this, and to learn, and for them to say, hey, we have a lot to learn. Let's learn from you guys is truly amazing.
Well, I'm happy to hear it has been a wonderful collaboration for you with you and Nike, and you're certainly an inspiration. I know you're also a father, so
Yes.
you have a huge responsibility to be a great role model for others and to your own child. And how's fatherhood for you? How's that?
Oh, it's amazing. Fatherhood. I'm in the girl dad club now. It's so awesome. This little girl has me wrapped around
Oh
her
yeah.
fingers. Oh, she's 5 months now. So I haven't slept in 5 months. So if you can tell I'm so tired. But it's the hardest, funnest, amazing thing I've ever done in my life. And you know, I've trained for the Olympic Games. I've broken world records, and you know, I think I've mastered running on prosthetic blades. But one thing I have not mastered is being a dad. And
Oh, did it come with a
you know,
manual?
yeah. If you have one, let me know and send
I'll
it over
let
for
you
me,
know.
please. Anything, any information. The sleep progression is real. You know, she's growing every day.
That's
She's so
beautiful.
beautiful, and it gives me just like a lot more motivation, just personally, on a personal level. Like I've been doing it for me, and I've been doing it for my family and my friends and the other disabled kids out in the world. But now I do it for my daughter, and with her name on the line, with her life on the line, man, I'm telling you, I'm a dangerous athlete. I'm a very dangerous athlete, definitely.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, if 2021, I know you have a goal of, as an athlete, you have lots of goals that are related to your profession. In a personal level, impacting the world in a global scale, how do you think you want to do it? Do you have any mission in mind? Do you have any goal in mind? Do you have any vision that you can share with us?
Yeah. I've had a couple visions. I'll share a couple visions, but you know, of course, you know, you have the Olympics Tokyo 2021 this year, and they've even talked about that it might not even happen.
Huh.
With the you know, with the virus, and you know, everybody going back on lockdown. It's still up for air. So we're, you know, I mean, fingers crossed that everything goes right. But at the end of the day, I realized that my story and my journey it will and will not be defined by one event,
Sure.
one race, right? So whether the Olympic come or go, or do happen or don't happen, or the Paralympics, me as a person, I have to show up each and every day to be a light, and be an example. I feel like God is using me as an example to say, look, he was born less than, but through his faith, and his persistence, and his belief, he can be the fastest man in the world. And if he can too, imagine what you can do in my life, with your life. Like that's my message. Now this message can go from California to Tennessee to New York to Haiti to over across the Europe. Like, you know, I envision myself just doing, you know, I remember I went to Haiti back after the earthquake, and this was back in, like, I think 2009, 2010, around that time. And I remember going there. A lot of the kids, they swarmed around me once I got to the fields, because they never seen a double leg amputee Blade Runner before. So they was talking to me in Haitian, and it was being translated. But the moral of the story, they was like, this dude has no legs, he's disabled, and he's probably slow. And the translator was letting him know that I'm a medalist, I'm one of the fastest runners in the
Oof.
world. And these little kids didn't believe it. So one by one, I lined it up and raced like 12 of the 13 kids there at the field, and beat each. I told you, it doesn't matter, a horse, a kid, it doesn't matter. And I beat them. But it was an amazing moment, because they'd never seen a disabled person. And for them, if you was disabled, that means you was cursed. So for them to relate somebody that's disabled but still fast, and being in that light, and we just walked around the city and walked around the fields, and they followed me, and I got to show them more races and more. Like, I envision
Great.
myself being in more opportunities like that, to quickly change mindsets and perspectives and
Mm-hmm.
perceptions,
Mm-hmm.
by how I view my situation.
Yes.
And hopefully they can say, well, if he's looking at his life like that, man, maybe I need to turn my life around or change my perception or perspective.
Absolutely. Well, you have certainly inspired me. And I hope you continue to inspire more and more people. And hopefully, our audience, I'm sure they are inspired by your story. Thank you so much for bringing your 120% to the show. Like that energy, I'm grateful for it. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so, so much. I wish you an amazing 2021. And at the Olympic in Tokyo, hopefully, it will happen. Lots of love. Thank you. Bye, Blake.
Thank you.
Bye bye.